Hey everyone, so I'm doing my December title page today. I don't usually plan out what I'm going to do for these, I just kind of see how I feel. It's mostly just about me being creative without judgment and just doing whatever feels right in the moment. But I do try to have some kind of theme, and I like to stick to seasonal colours and flowers and things. Generally, each month will have a particular colour scheme, and I'll try to sort of stick to that throughout the month. But that's not always the case. I also like to include a particular phrase or something that means something to me, or some kind of goal or focus for that month. And I'm not great at doing it every single month, but I always have fun when I do it. So now we're on to December. Now, December I'll usually do in sort of blues, blacks, silvers, that kind of thing, because obviously it's like the dead of winter and also the end of the year. But I recently got a bunch of new tapes and things. So basically I'm just going to look through my new things and decide what I like the vibes of and go off of that. For me, December is very much a time of reflection of the past year and also looking forward to the next year. So this tape is gorgeous, but has very summery vibes for me, even though it says winter. Yeah, the roses, the butterflies, it feels very much like summer to me, so I'm going to say no to that one. It's the same with these ones, really. They're very like spring, summer kind of flowers. Not really suitable for the season. But these two could pretty much be used anywhere, anytime, I think. So I'm gonna throw those on the floor. I'm gonna hold on to these for now and see if we can incorporate them somewhere. These are the other washi tapes I got. Very much focused on writing and books, literature, and like more kind of retro style, not retro, vintage style tapes and things at the moment. I'm really big on mushrooms. I don't know where this has suddenly come from, but I'm recently obsessed with mushrooms. This is cool. This is it's got gothic vibes to it. I'm sure I could definitely use that somewhere. Yeah, all of these are nice sort of wintry plants. Fading is true while flowering is past. Okay. I don't know if that's just a bad translation or if I'm missing something deep and meaningful. Honestly, I like all of these. I might use these. I might make December a deep green colour. And then I can sort of work everything into it. Okay, cool. And then I also got these sort of scraps. So much plastic wrapping. Why does everything need to be covered in plastic? Okay, so these are just like scraps that can be torn up and stuck down. But you can see that sort of vintage style. Jacuz! But I love these with the plant illustrations on. I am tempted to just go to like a charity shop and buy some old books and just tear out the pages, to be honest, because I love this vibe. Okay, so we'll see if we can incorporate some of that as well. It's a bit crowded, but why not? I just want to use my new stuff, basically. So I bought this really cheap watercolor palette because a lot of the things that I have are very set in their color. And I've had a couple of times where I was like, oh, I want this to be slightly more green or blue or whatever. And also the pens that I have are not, they're not the super expensive type. So you can tell when I've gone over a line a couple of times and it's darker in some places than in others. It doesn't look great. So I was hoping that by getting watercolours I could get a more fluid kind of colouring in. So I just bought a really cheap palette that's basically a kid's toy. I'm going to use the cheap, crappy paintbrush that came with it, and we're just going to play and see what happens. Because here's the thing. I love watching the videos of people who have been journaling for years, and everything that they do is very deliberate, it's very clear and concise, and everything seems to be planned out really well, and it works exactly how they wanted it to, and everything looks really, really well done, really professional. And they clearly have a very artistic eye, good eye for design. I do not have this. I have never had this. So the whole idea behind my journaling this year was to be creative without being judgmental. And I know this is something that a lot of people struggle with. And it's something that holds a lot of people back, I think, because they see how amazing other people create and the incredible things that people do with their journals, and they think, well, mine's never going to be as good as that, so why bother? But the enemy of creativity is comparison, you know? And we are our own worst critics. So the idea this year was to just do whatever I felt like doing and not judging myself for how good or bad it might be. So whereas a lot of these videos of people, they're all really well planned out, they clearly have a very stylistic idea in mind and they bring their dreams to life. My technique is basically to just rip things up, cut things up, stick things down, throw colour at shit, and just see what happens. And you know what? Sometimes it is really ugly, but it's fun creating it. Even if it doesn't go well, it really doesn't matter, because I had fun doing it. So I should probably wait for this to dry before I try and stick more stuff on, but I'm not gonna. I'm thinking I'm gonna do this like green and goldy type colours at the bottom, and then maybe use the mushroom one. Maybe put a strip of that across the top with like a green band through it. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Let's just try some shit and see if we like it. It's not gonna stick because it's still wet. What if we did an L shape on the bottom? Ooh, yeah, that's definitely not sticking. Cool. Love it. I don't know if I like that. Never mind. Okay. That's cool. Ah, look at all the mushrooms. There's so many of them. I'm going to use this throughout the month, I think, this mushroom one. But for now, let's just have this bit. Voici bientôt. And then, where's that one? That one. Kind of want to use this as like a border, actually. I don't know. I don't know if I like that. I'm going to leave that one out for now. Maybe I should have done it the other way around, because I've already got the colour at the bottom. Okay, let's try that. It's what I love about washi tape, is that it doesn't stick. So you can just like pick it up and move it around. That's better. And then put this one up here. I don't know if I like that anymore. Maybe... Yeah, that's better. Let's do that. See how messy it is? That's what we want. Creativity is messy. I love these little stickers and I've used them all over my journal this year. I usually use the black ones, but I think white would be better on this colour. So let's pick out some phrases we want to use for December. In case you were wondering, my method of choosing what gets stuck on the page is basically just based on vibes. I go through and I look at the things that I have and I decide what feels December-y. And then I'll pick them out and put them aside. And then I'll spend a good 15 minutes or so moving stuff around the page just to see what feels right. And then I stick them in. I'm sure there are rules about ratios of things and which third of the page should be filled with certain things and whether or not you're supposed to leave blank spaces in certain areas. I'm sure that there are rules about how to set things out in an aesthetically pleasing way. I don't know any of the rules. I don't care to learn any of the rules. I purely go off of whether or not it feels nice. You'll also notice that a lot of the things that I pull out and put to one side, I won't actually end up using. I'll move them around the page a whole bunch and decide that actually it doesn't seem to fit anywhere. And it doesn't play nicely with the other things that I've selected, so I'm going to leave it out. And this is kind of my whole process. And again, when I'm watching other people do this, they always seem to like have a plan and know exactly what they're going to put where. And I'm sure it's just that they've decided beforehand exactly what they're going to do. But I just feel like it's not realistic and it sets high expectations. So I wanted you to see how I actually do things. Because it is just an hour of trial and error. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I'm not an expert by any means, but I am a real person. And in this world of social media where everybody is constantly comparing themselves to everybody else, I think it's important every now and again for us to see a real person with actual human flaws who has no idea what they're doing in life so that we have something to relate to, so that we don't tell ourselves that we can't do something before we've even tried. And the way that I set out my notebooks now has changed so much over the years, and is also very dependent on what resources I have available at the time. Do you remember my January page? That was not the best, and is certainly very different from what I'm doing now. But again, that's part of it. It's experimenting, trying different stuff, seeing what you like and what you don't like. And at the end of the day, it is your journal and you don't have to show it to anybody if you don't want to. Even the lettering is something that has changed a lot for me over time with doing this. When I first started, there's this very specific, journal calligraphy writing that everybody does. It's joined up stuff that everyone always does. It's very beautiful. And I was convinced that I had to do all of my lettering in that way when I first started. And I did spend a lot of time practicing it. And I can do it. But honestly, it takes a lot of time. And I struggle with the spacing sometimes. And it doesn't always fit. And it's not always easy to read. And honestly, it gets boring when you use the same writing style all the time. Nowadays, more often than not, I will do a fancy looking capital letter and then I'll just do neat writing for the rest of it. Sometimes I'll do it a bit bubbly, sometimes I'll do it more straight and jagged, sometimes I'll do it joined up, and sometimes I'll do the letters separately, sometimes I'll space them out weird, sometimes it'll all be capitals. It's another thing that I just experiment with and do whatever feels nice on the page. Sometimes I will look up different calligraphy and writing styles on Pinterest or something, and I'll try and mimic some of those. I also have stencils that I can use to get certain fonts. But yeah, it's just another thing. You have to move away from this should. What something should look like, how it should be, and just do what feels right to you. And it's fine to try stuff out. If you want to learn how to do fancy calligraphy, then great, go for that. And sometimes I will take the time to do really fancy lettering. But also, it is a personal journal and I want it to reflect me. And if I'm not the kind of person who always writes with this fancy calligraphy, then it's not really me, is it? And it's important to allow yourself to make mistakes and try again. To admit that did not go the way that I wanted it to, I'm going to do it again. There's nothing wrong with that. You just need to remove that part of you that wants to beat yourself up over not being perfect the first time. That is the goal. Sometimes things just don't go the way that I wanted them to. So I'll do it differently. I'll normally just do a highlight or a shadow on my lettering, but I don't know, this one felt like it wanted to be fully lined with gold. So that's what I did. I do this sometimes when my background is quite dark and just writing it directly on top isn't going to show up very well. I'll do my title on a separate bit of paper and then cut it out and stick it on. I think the centre of that D wants to go as well. Oops. Okay, let's do that. Now we can bring those quotes back in that we picked out earlier. And I'm almost done. I think just for flavour. I know I've got some like stars, some gold stars. Here's a silver. I want the gold ones. I am not a big Christmassy person, but I might use some of this holly, maybe some of those snowflakes. But yeah, I think this is very green. There's not enough gold on here, so I'm just going to throw on some gold stickers for funsies. And I'm not going to think too hard about where I'm going to put them. I'm just going to throw them anywhere. That'll do. A little bit of holly there. Maybe this little snowflake. Blue doesn't really go anywhere, does it? Nah, leave the snowflake. Little gingerbread man? Little gingerbread man and the moon. Sure. And I think that's gonna do it. It's not bad, huh? Considering where we started and the mess that we made in the process, it's not terrible. It's not as good as a lot of the other things you'll see online, but you know what? It makes me happy. And I had fun. And now I have to tidy up. But you know, that's part of it. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Next time I'm going to be thinking about how I want to set out my journal for next year. So I'm going to be going over things I want to include, things I want to keep from this journal, and how I intend to do the layout. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!